Hey, everybody, welcome to another wonderful episode of Brothers in Brew. My name is Jonathan. This is my brother Edward. I am sitting here in Katowice, Poland, in Lower Silesia. My brother, he's over there in California. Um, Today, we have a lot of great topics we want to talk about. We're going to go through those. First up here, though, we are going to be looking at the beers that we have brought today. I have brought a Carlsberg um, which you can find at pretty much any store here in Poland. It's a Pilsner, premium Pilsner. And I'm going to go ahead and make my pour here, and we'll give it a shot. It's it's got a pretty good little head to it. So let's see here. Go through and score this thing. All right, it's kind of like a good appearance. It's a little bit yellow. It's on the lighter side for sure. I can definitely see through the glass. No reflection of my own. So I'm going to give it a good 15 on the appearance so far. It's got some bubbles. Good aroma, decent taste. Um, Probably give it a 13 on the aroma out of 20. And taste is it's got like a bite that comes right when it hits the tongue. It's got a good bite to it, and then as it hits the back of the tongue, it smooths out really nice. So I like this. I like this beer. It tastes pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 15. I'm gonna drop score a little bit for the mouthfulness. Put it at about 14 on the mouthfulness. But it's something I could definitely drink and do things. I mean, I could say definitely, yeah, like we talked about earlier, definitely play a like a game of volleyball or something while I'm drinking this beer. So for a weight, I'm going to go ahead and give it another solid 15 out of 20. So yeah, good beer. Carlsberg, good Pilsner. All right. Yeah.
All right. So I'm also going to be reviewing a Pilsner, same brand as last week. We've got Dust Bowl Brewing Company, um, based out of the Stockton, Modesto, Turlock area in California. Uh, right off the bat, I've already pre-poured it. I'm just going to top it off a little bit to make it look a little better as it kind of fizzes up. Um, it is very clear. I can see myself on the monitor through the beer. I'm going to actually give it a score of 19 on there. We have uh, a little bit of buildup on it, but it could just be bottom of the vat or front of the vat. We're also going to sat for a while, have some kind of active culture. Aroma wise, it's got a good smell. Um, I'm going to give it a 17 over here.
Hmm.
And then on our flavor and taste, so I'm a bit particular, having tasted this beer before. It's one of the better pilsners. I'm actually going to give it a 20, which is like a very hard thing to do. It hits all the marks. It's got a very good front end kick to it, and then it smooths out very rapidly. And in the end, there's a very sweet kind of almost honey flavor on the end of it. It's
I don't
very
know,
very
man.
good.
That 20.
It's good, dude. It's good. It's if you're in Central Valley or Northern California and you go to any Bevmo or Total Wines or any kind of artisanal beer shop, look for Dust Bowl. Their taco truck's all right, but their Hobo's Pilsner is way better. And the artwork on the can is fantastic with the hillbilly with his dog chilling in the boxcar. I
Hmm.
also like the bottle. The bottle has the guy with the rucksack on a stick walking.
Yeah.
Um, the bottle is actually better in my opinion, but the can is just fine. Yes, we Americans are savages and we put beer into cans. Mouthfulness, it doesn't burn. It actually scores kind of lower on the mouthfulness. I wish it had a little more carbonation to it, but I'm kind of prone to agitation when it comes to things. I like spicy food. I like high carbonation, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give it a 14. And then its weight overall, I could have definitely, back in the day when we'd go to the gym, if you had seen me drinking a beer and been like, hey, go to the gym. If I had only had one, I could have gone to the gym and got a full workout in and been fine. It's definitely, its weight scores really well. So overall, it's an 88, which is a B, and that's a solid score considering anything in the 90s is almost unattainable. So
Yeah.
that puts it up there with the best of beers. I would definitely say that this is a far better beer and worth the $10 a 6 pack purchase. That's U.S. rather than like Budweiser or Coors or Stella or anything else. I mean, Stella is like gets that kind of like, oh, it's Belgian, it must be like fantastic. This is a far better beer, and it's a pilsner, so it has a longer brewing process than like a typical L. So, yeah, it's good. Well, anyways, let's dive right into any of our topics that we want to talk about. I believe you
Yeah,
had
we
some
got
talking points.
yeah, I wanted to go into what we'd taken. So I wanted to apologize to everybody for having the session last couple of weeks had to be postponed. This is only the second episode we were able to do. I had my vaccination and I had a small side effect. Ended up with a lymph node that was swollen up due to the fighting of the vaccine. And I woke up one morning a couple Saturdays ago. I had what looked like a goiter growing out of my face, and I went to the hospital just to get it checked out. And it was just an overactive lymph node, but had a very interesting time at the hospital. I won't say which hospital I was going to, obviously, but it's going to the emergency room in Poland is unlike anything you'll experience in the United States. It's a lot more friendly, especially if you approach them with a smile and you make jokes like I do constantly. They really appreciate that. And I've been in twice this year. Once when I had COVID, and then
How
I ended up.
how dare you say that the emergency room in America is anything less than the most
Ama-
beautiful line of like cattle slaughtering house you've ever seen in your life.
my my
Come in,
elbow
take a
hurt. My
seat.
elbow hurt.
Are you bleeding? Are you dying? No. Go sit over there and wait for 4 hours. We'll get to you when we get to you.
Yeah, it's so different here. I mean, you still do have to wait a while-ish, but they're way faster than America. And and the truth is, every time I've gone in there, as long as I've been funny and friendly, they've been willing to do whatever. I mean, um, I've gotten okay. I mean, my last visit. Okay, let's just look at that. My last visit, I had a full blood panel, antibiotics, two different doctors that I saw, an X-ray. I got an IV with Demerol, and I got a little bit lit up on some Irish coffee that they handed me, and I got all of that. It cost me $100 US, and I don't have NFZ. I don't have NFZ, the Nationalist Healthcare. I have a private insurance company, and I was at the ER here. Here they do this thing where I have LuxMed, which is a high end, kind of like Kaiser back home. Here, ambulances and emergency rooms are only found in public hospitals. So if you need to use one without paying for it, you need to have the national healthcare plan through the European healthcare system. Um, I pay for LuxMed, so I get premium healthcare service, but I have to schedule it. And then I take another insurance policy out once a year with 100,000 euros worth of emergency coverage that in case I have to use it, I will. But I mean, as cheap as it is, this visit cost me $100 US. The one where I had the blood clots in January, that cost me $157 US. And I mean, just this visit would have cost me at least $3,000 to go to an ER and get taken care of in the States. I mean, it's like $1,500 for a blood panel in
Well,
California.
I mean,
So
if you've got insurance and you're not and you're outside your deductible that's on there in the states, um, you're going to be somewhat all right. I mean, you're probably going to have to pay that $2,000-3,000 if it was going to cost you that much over the next 20 years of your life at 80% interest. But the but if you don't have insurance, you actually have insurance. So you go to the hospital, you get treated, you get your bill, you default, you file bankruptcy, and then you make the taxpayers pay for it, which happens all the time. So, and in that process, you just keep driving everybody else's premiums up until it's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Standardized health care in the U.S. is going to be on its way inevitably, anyways, because eventually premiums are just going to get outside the cost of sustainability for the average U.S.
Yeah.
person. Just like gas. As soon as gas gets over $5 a gallon here, or that's going to be
Yeah.
like
Look,
$7.
everybody's going electric at that point.
It's going to be $7 a liter. You're going to see like the California and the U.S. is going to look like a Vietnamese town, just a million scooters and electric cars all over the place.
Sorry, it already looks like that in every downtown you go to.
Well, I mean, it's in all honesty, they should just put in biking infrastructure and a bunch of other stuff. Put in some mass transit and bicycles. I mean, hell, even in Fresno, where it gets to be 100 degrees Fahrenheit, that's like what the heck is that for you guys? Like 36 Celsius around there.
No, it's more than that, dude. It's
Nah, I'm gonna bring up a converter.
like
The rule of thumb
42
I
or
always
something.
do is divide by 3, add 4. That's the easiest way to get it. So I think it's like 36, 37. So
No,
I'll
yeah,
tell you right
maybe.
now.
I think it's like 40.
37. So 37.7. So no, 40 is insane. 40 and like you're up there like 111. You can ride around on a bicycle, especially in the morning on a bike for most of your things. Downtown in the evenings, you can do a bike. I mean, Denmark's got that pegged when it comes to bikes. I mean, they got a better climate for it, but I mean, their winters are far harsher. I mean,
Oh
our
well, they have the like so if where I'm at right now, you can um like where I'm at right now, you can actually like go right outside and there's like a line, a double line of bicycles, and you just swipe your phone by it. It bills you through
yeah,
Google Pay, and you just go off
that's
on the
how it
bike.
was in college. You could just swipe at the rack and ride a bike around campus. It was so
Yeah.
much easier, and like you got billed like $1 or $2. If you had a rec
Mhm.
center payment, you were free on it. I mean, it was
Well, this one, the way they do it here is like they have the scooters, they have the bikes, and if you rent it, it costs a couple bucks. If you bring it back, it's 50% off, and you park it.
so either way. The, we're I'm the traditionalist aspect of our country has the reins, and it just
Mm.
forces us into this like absolute reactionary catastrophic reaction like group where like we
Mm.
don't change anything until it explodes in our face. And
Yeah.
the idea of being proactive and catching it before it happens is like it's so rare. And it's funny that we made that shift because up until like the 80s, we were a relatively proactive nation when it came to like innovation and like implementation of policy. But now,
Even
but then
even in
again,
the
but then again,
90s.
then again, we had the ultimate evil of the Soviet Union to deal with. So we were always being proactive when it came to like anything that might be touched to communism. But I digress into something else. Yeah, medical issues. I'm the European model, which is far better, and that model comes from FDR, and it's the same model
Mm.
that most of Europe and Japan and countries that were reconstructed after World War II implemented. It was good enough for
Mm.
them. It just clearly wasn't good enough for big business in the U.S. So
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the lobbyist systems for medical insurance. It's insane. I have a friend of mine that I went to high school with, um, and she was saying that like okay, so she was working with companies that were doing arms dealing, and they were like a drop in the bucket compared to what insurance companies were fighting with money wise to try and get their policies passed and offering
oh
for
man,
for it's
so
insane,
during
insane.
during during 2020, the richest like 100 Americans grew their wealth by over $1 trillion, and that's 2020
Yeah,
during the lockdown. It was
yeah.
huge. So combined, it was over $1 trillion. So you're talking about. I mean, considering that the GDP of the European Union is greater, and actually I don't know with England Brexiting out, but the GDP of the European Union was just slightly greater than the United States GDP. $1 trillion is insane. $1 trillion, if you were to drop that onto like some Central African nation would turn it into Wakanda. I mean, it's just it's insane. Like these the rich, we don't call them oligarchs here, but the rich in the United States,
Mhm. Same thing. They do the exact same
yeah,
shit.
it's crazy. It's crazy. They're oligarchs. They're oligarchs. I mean, that's the reason Jeff Bezos moved his headquarters to D.C. They were like, "Where's he going to put it? He's leaving
Mm-hmm.
California. Is he going to go to Texas? Is he going to go to Chicago or New York?" And I was sitting here going like, "He's going to Washington D.C. He's going to play Kingmaker. He's Warwick from the War of the Roses. He's the Kingmaker. He's going to go out there and be like, who wants to be president? Who wants to be senator?" Like all you got to do is pass my bills, fluff my pubes, and take my money, and we're good. We're good to go.
That's pretty much it. Here the big question marks, I guess, that I keep hearing from coworkers and whatnot is what's going to happen with the president here. Well, then it's not even actually the worry isn't here so much the president these days as it is their like parliament, legislative branch, whatever.
So I'm
Apparently,
completely naive to Poland's issues. I just know that the past like 10 years, Poland's been moving towards the populace has been moving towards a fascist base, or at least that's the most
no,
outspoken base. I'm not going to say
no,
fascist. Fascist is strong. I'm going to say
no.
nationalist.
No, it's true.
Nationalist.
They have Poland has the exact same issue America has on a micro version. This girl. I mean, if I could show you her, there's no way she should be in the military. She's one of the hottest. We'll say this right now to
Have
the camera.
Have you seen the
Poland.
Israeli
Hold on.
military girls?
No. Hold on. Poland by far, and I've been all over. I was 16 countries in the world. Poland by far has the most beautiful women so far that I've seen anywhere in the world. I mean,
It's
Polish
just
women are
it's called Stockholm
insanely
syndromes.
beautiful.
It's called Stockholm syndrome, dude. You're just falling in love with your captors. All right. You tell Olga to back up off. All right.
No,
You've got
trust me,
Li Ming from Vietnam.
they're gorgeous. But this girl I was talking to today, I'd called her earlier. I asked her, I was like, "Hey, do you want to come hang out?" And she was like, "Well, next week." And I said, "Well, I can't get my vaccination next week for my second vaccine." And she's like, "Oh, dot dot dot, you're getting your vaccination?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't,
a
I can't,
nanobot buildup.
I can't travel if I don't have a vaccination. Like, you can't do it." And she was like, basically, just fuck the vaccine. That whole mentality went nuts. And then she just talked about, I had a friend who went paralyzed, and I had a friend who went to the hospital, and I was like, we can't date. I'm like, it's not that I don't like. To be honest with you, it's not about. If she was just somebody,
My dick really wants to date you. My brain just can't.
it's the problem is that if it's just like a friend is who I don't care. You don't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. But if you're looking to like, like want to like talk to somebody or get like romantically involved or anything, can be a problem. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you don't
like
want to have
because
it.
well,
You don't
well
want.
because what are you gonna do? You can't bring her if you have people come over from the United States. You can't have her like hang out and like do it. So I just had to kind of like be like,
Yeah,
well,
so
okay, I'll leave the topic
that's
alone, and then I just
that's
didn't
the
respond anymore,
conundrum,
and that's
right?
that's the end of it. That's the end of
That that's the
the whole
conundrum,
thing.
right? Which the conundrum you run into is that conservatives from the U.S. rarely actually travel abroad in a meaningful way, where they don't sequester themselves into a resort. So, like when you're talking about bringing people over from the states, like the people that you would talk about are going to probably be center left or left leaning because they don't mind going and actually being around the common people and learning and absorbing culture. Whereas the people that like she would most be attuned with, if they were going to come, they would be part of the tour group. They would stay in their hotel. They would or take their river tour or whatever across Europe, something where they don't actually have to interact with the common man of the countries they're going through.
It's not
This is my
it's not
example, and
really
I hate to use our mutual friend, who we're talking about here, as an example. Um, uh, he's got he's got zero interest in like uh, going and walking on foot all over, say, Rome, and then at the end of the night, going to a local like dive bar, if you will, and having a couple of drinks and hanging out with the friends and talking about like
Mm-hmm.
and answering questions. It's just it's not his wheelhouse of where he's at. But he'll come on a paid trip. Example: his wife won a trip to, and 2020 killed it, but won a trip to uh, what is the small little principality in France? I keep on saying Montenegro, but that's Croatia area and the Balkans.
I thought it was that was wasn't that the trip to Belize that she won or something?
No, so they were going to go to Argentina because he won that one, and then they were going to fly to is it Montague? Is in the south of France. It was like
Montenegro.
the no, Montenegro is the Croatian one. It's where the Formula One races are. Jeez, it's down there.
Monaco.
Monaco, yeah. Gee,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just for
yeah.
whatever reason my
Monaco.
brain was same thing. Anyways, they were going to go do that, and it got canceled due to COVID, which is a real bummer because, like, honestly, that's a once in a lifetime. You do
Yeah.
Argentina for a week, and then you go to Monaco. It's just that's a real bummer. But that doesn't put you in the area. You're not going to be absorbing local culture to the level that you would be if you went and traveled and hit hostels or hotel apartment rental or something like that, where you
Yeah,
had to
but
go
you
down to
know
the local. Yeah,
they're not those types of people anyway. They don't
that's
care.
his wife is. I mean, his wife spent a fair amount of time up in like Estonia and
Really?
those areas. So I mean,
Interesting.
but his wife is center right. Like she'll ask provocative questions outside of religion. She's center right. Nathan's a little further. Oh, well, I just used his name. Anyways, so he's a little further, but it's an exceptionalism approach on things, which isn't bad. Nationalism isn't bad. It's only bad when you become close minded. And from the outside looking in, once again, I've never been to Poland, but I've seen some disturbing things that are reminiscent of what we see in America, where my friends that are having extremely nationalistic symptoms don't even want to entertain a discussion that moves left of their position at all. Whereas, and it's the same situation that is on the other side of the fence. My friends that are basically anarchists,
Yeah.
they don't want to,
Well, it
they
doesn't
don't
even have
want
to go that far.
everything to the right is Djangoist to them. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if you have an anarchist friend, which I have a couple, like, if you try to talk about bringing them to center or you talk about policing and the difficulties they come out, the police are all murderers and the military is
Yeah.
all baby killers and everything else. And it's like, look, dude, everything outside of your position isn't a Djangoist. They're not all crying for war or murder, all right? And everything to the left of the conservative Trump, we'll just call it Trumpism today, because that's the American Nationalist Party. Everything to the left of Trumpism isn't a Jacobin stance. I mean, this isn't like France circa the revolution, that's out there. But I mean, but they want to force it into that. It's like both these groups want to have that defining catalyst moment to where they can go shoot each other in the streets. And for some
Yeah.
fucked up
Well,
reason, the conservatives think that the liberals don't have guns. It's
yeah. And that's
I don't
what's funny.
understand
I
it.
was telling one of my friends from Alabama that the other night. We were talking. I was like, he was talking about the like, damn San Francisco liberals and the Black Lives Matter, and he was going off on Latinos, and I was letting him have his moment,
They've
'cause they
all
do.
got arms, and they're
No,
well trained with these arms.
I told him I was like, I was like, last year, man, you were talking about with the riots how they're all armed and killing each other. What makes you think you're just going to roll over these people? Like, and this becomes my
And there's only 100,000 of them in Alabama. There's millions of them
yeah.
over there.
But my thing here is this, and this is where my real worry comes from for the United States. The United States is headed to a civil war if it doesn't knock its shit off. It is headed that direction, and in fact,
It'll be divided down race.
and people what's her name? There was Holly and there's Matt Gates and then what's her Greenlee or whatever her name is. I don't even bother to pay attention to her anymore.
You're talking about
the crazy bitch in the Senate. Yeah, the crazy bitch in the Senate.
She's nuts.
Like
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
There we go, Marjorie Taylor Greene. So So the problem I have with this is like Gates came out and they're taking the Trump playbook and they're running with it. And but he came out and he said yesterday at the rally or whatever a couple of days ago, he said that we need to we have our guns, we have the Second Amendment, it's there because it's soon to be time to where we're going to rise up and you're going to have to invoke that Second Amendment to take down the government in regards to I guess what's going on at the border because they feel there's too many people coming across. And I
It's
don't know
mainly
what it
because
is.
it's mainly he's
I,
about to go to jail for fucking a 17
Oh
year old
yeah,
in
yeah,
Florida.
he's
So
going. He's going. They've got witnesses all over the place now, or
this is
people who are
how do I
corroborating.
escape
Um,
prison 101.
but what's really got me here is the Republicans, maybe not all of them in the legislative branch, but definitely in the leadership are promoting this idea gradually under the surface of civil war is going to happen and we got this. But this is where I think the problem is, and I don't know why the couple of conservatives, not many of them, who served in the wars, aren't standing up and telling these people to shut the fuck up. Because anybody who's actually served time in an area that is either in the middle of a civil war or just coming out of one knows modern civil war is a 25-year process, and at least 15 of that is the fighting. It's this won't be, excuse me, this won't be the 1800s where one side lines up and the other side lines up and they go boom, 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 boom. That's not how this will work. This is going to be, you're going to have a nationalist army, whatever that is, whether it's the Confederates or whatever. Then you're going to have a liberal army. And in the midst of all the rest of it is going to be a bunch of cities divided into districts between warlords who are criminals. And they're all going to be fighting with each other over tribalism and landmarks to hold, while the armies are trying to fight amongst each other. You're going to see the United States go to shit, and it's not something that ends in 5 years. This isn't something where we come back together because information travels too fast. Misinformation is everywhere and is not going away just because you have a civil war. Russia and China will definitely get involved in that and probably show up in places like Alaska much more readily. So I just there is no good that comes from heading down this avenue. There is no good that will come from the amount of divisiveness in the United States. No matter what side you're on, there is no means by which to make this a good outcome. And I'm actually really worried
Yeah,
about Trump not getting indicted because I think we have a civil war at this point. It's looking like it, not because he wins or loses, only because he runs. Because if he loses, I think the liberal states get fed up and start talking about leaving and actually go through with it. And if he wins, the liberal states talk about leaving and going through with it. If he loses, the South says they stole it again and rise up and have a fight. So I think
well,
it all amounts to getting Trump out of the race, not anything to do with winning and losing. It's going to happen regardless if he's just allowed to run.
give me 1 second real here, quick on this. So yeah,
Is
I
everything all
agree
right
with
on the recording?
what. Yeah, I believe so. Everything's marking on the audio that it's coming through fine. It's recording and bouncing. So, I for a second I was concerned that like I hadn't disabled push to talk, but I don't think I ever configured it in OBS. So I think we're fine. I never changed anything, anyways. But I did have to format my computer when I came back from Texas because PG&E.
Well,
So
if you want to take a moment, I mean, I'm going to have to cut this out
no,
anyway and splice it. So,
no, it's fine. It's fine. You just leave it in. Anyways,
all
we're just BSing. We're not trying to stay on point. We're not trying to give the viewer anything that is non authentic. So and I say viewer, 'cause I think we got one, and maybe it might be, it's probably mom. Anyway,
that's for
so
the fan to decide.
it's like the WNBA.
Yeah.
So
That commanding $600 a month.
6,000 a year. $6,000. That's why she commands $6,000 a year.
Is that enough for this menial talent? That's for the fan to decide.
Is it worth being this unattractive? So, Family Guy. Don't quote us on that. That's Seth MacFarlane's stance. Go after him, Hollywood. Get him.
Oh,
Prevent him
I'm
from
totally.
winning.
I believe Seth for president. Why not?
Yeah, so go get Seth. This is his fault. Prevent him from winning
You
another.
do.
Prevent him from winning another Emmy on probably the best comedy shows that are on TV for 20
Yeah,
years straight.
no kidding.
So, anyways,
I love that guy, dude. I went to his Chris. Were you there the year that we showed up and tried to go? It wasn't you and Diana, right? That was the year we tried to go to his Christmas party, and it was like the
first
back
off,
cave out there.
stop. First off, Diana and I were told to go in. You two,
Oh my
you and
god!
Zach couldn't get in. We pulled up and
No,
they said they were gonna valet park the car and they handed us the tickets to go in. And you guys showed up like dressed how you're dressed right now. All right, that's like, you're pretty
no,
much.
no, 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 no. That's not what
I
happened.
was in casual suit.
I know what happened.
Hold up, my story. Me. All right, because you fuckers went to the hotel and then you guys got changed to crash this party because it was his Beverly Hills. Like he was throwing that huge party for buying the home in Beverly Hills after Fox signed him that deal, and this was like right after you, you and who was the guy that I crashed the text message in? The singer, the guy that plays Steve.
Oh yeah, Scott Grimes.
Yeah, so we were in the group text with Scott Grimes, and he asked who this was, and I said it was Ash's brother because you were going off of your call sign. Hey, pull your microphone out and put it back in real quick again, because I got suddenly I've got feedback. Let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, I fixed it. All right, so now actually I've got feedback again. What did you do to break your shit, dude? Every time with this guy. Anyways, yeah, but we were invited in. We could have gone in because we went to that Beverly. We went to that the Melrose Place salon where we were supposed to get like free manicures and everything else, and it was janky and suspect as shit. We went there first with you, me, Zach. Was Mark there? I don't think Mark was coughing everywhere yet. I don't think I had met him. Poor dead fuck.
No, yeah, so
but then we were invited in, but we knew that you weren't going to get in, so I was like, I don't want to go. She wanted to go and ditch you guys, and I seriously considered it, but I just put on a face like we live further back because we were driving the BMW, and we were going to go through, and like we fit the bill. Like she was in like a designer dress, and I was in my like suit with no tie, like looking casual type situation, and we were going to go in and crash the party. And the valet guys were going to let us in. And I was like, there's no way that pulling up in that Trailblazer. Where
no, that actually wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem. The problem was so I've already, you know, been to these parties before and I know a lot of the people. So what actually happened was the person we had in the car, the publicist, Dave, was like,
that's right. It was like the gay dude who was lying his ass off. That's right.
The publicist had pissed off somebody else at the party, and when we went to go up and get in, they saw Dave and wouldn't let Dave in. They were more than willing to let me and Zach in because we're always funny together. Zach and I could make anybody laugh, but they didn't like Dave, and we didn't want to ditch Dave. So we were like, you know, we're not going to go, and then that's how we ended up. I think we went somewhere else.
We did like so. We went back and got dinner in like Valencia on the way home. All in all, I had fun on that trip because it was eventful. She was bitter because she could have been hanging out with Mia Kunis and like that kind of shit. Because we were in, and she was bitter about it. She's like, we should have just got in, and I was like, dude, I don't want to go without like the crew. Like, who wants to crash a party like? Just like two people, like
you guys should have gone. You would have had fun. I mean, I think afterward, all we did was go to some other party. It wasn't.
I would have had fun to tell the truth, but I wanted to make a thing of it. Like, so I'll
everybody would.
So like she was a phenomenal girl, and I love every aspect of the relationship we had with her. But I would have had to like lead her by the nose, and so it would have been like a 4-hour process. That would have been all on me, and I just didn't want to do it. Like, I mean, that's just the thing is that at that point in time, that's 4 hours of me being in some kind of a character that isn't me. And like, if I've got you and Zach there and we're able to actually get in,
yeah, we would have had fun, man.
This is a whole different story.
It was Dave though. It was honestly like Dave had pissed off one of the guys that he was trying to get in.
No one is going to
mess everything up.
There isn't a security person in the world at that time because that was when I was like 232, and I'd been like doing MMA with like the
Yeah,
everybody
yeah, I
else.
remember.
So I was shredded, and like you were shredded, because you had just got out of the Corps like 3-4 years before
Well,
that.
I always hit the gym. I mean, look at me even now.
But
I mean, I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
whatever,
like
dude.
I
Like
just started going again.
put your bitch tits away. But I'm just saying that uh, uh, I saw a funny Reddit I want to take back in a second. But anyways, uh, yeah, no security guard in the world would have come up and like been like, dude, I'm gonna kick these guys out unless we were actually causing a problem. At like
Yeah.
6'4", 6'5", like a combined weight of like 520 pounds, plus Zach is there as well. No one's gonna be like, there isn't a bouncer in the world that's gonna be like, those are the guys I want to throw out of the party. Like, it's it's an ordeal at that point. You get everyone's involved, so we would have been fine. We were in. But
We would have been fine anyway because Scott had already called ahead to Seth and been like, "Hey, you know, Ash is going to show up," and so we were okay. I miss Scott, man. I tried to text him a while back, but that boy is busy
I
now. He's
saw
making movies
him.
and shit.
I saw him at, I think it was WonderCon. I didn't get a chance. I
Mm,
didn't get a chance to talk to him. We'd gone into
he
the
should.
yeah. So
Yeah,
man,
he's
that
a.
boy's got
I
that
will
boy's got
say this. I will
to
say
go
this
from
live. I will say this
he
live. Scott Grimes. Scott Grimes is the most genuine, nice, amazing guy that you are ever going to meet in Hollywood. Like that guy was a riot to hang around, extremely talented in everything he does, and the nicest man I think I've ever met in Hollywood. I mean, just amazing, amazing guy. Really good actor and amazing guy. I don't
um
have enough good things to say about him. It's great.
so so not only was he amazing in Band of Brothers,
Yeah.
but he was, which I think may have been like his like one of his debut things, at least his big debut.
He was in ER. He was in ER actually.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm just saying, like Band of Brothers, like he was a centerpiece piece. Him and the other the Brooklyn guy,
Mhm.
he sings so goddamn well.
Yeah, he does. He does, man.
He's,
I went to one of his
that white
concerts at
boy's
the
got
house.
the best soul in the
Dude,
goddamn world.
man, like you, if you, yeah, go check him out. If he used to play at the House of Blues a lot. I checked him out. I was like,
He
dude,
still
Scott,
does.
you got some lungs, boy. It's
He's,
crazy. I gotta get.
he,
I'm out of beer. You know.
yeah, that's fine. Go grab one. But yeah, he still sings. He's got like an actual music career that he does. All right, so like we said, we were going to talk about actual like foreign policy.
Yeah, we have some actual stuff to talk
So
about.
like
Not
we're
just
we're
celebrity
uh, we're
stuff.
37 minutes into this bitch. Why don't we talk about? I'm gonna throw one out there. You want to talk about Ukraine or Israel? Which one is more pertinent to you?
I mean, I get updates on Ukraine a lot being here in Poland. I mean, if you want to talk about Israel, you know, we were talking about Gal Gadot's, you know, issues with the cancel culture blowing up about every little fucking thing. Um, so Israel is a tough subject for me to get on because I get both points of view, but I
So
really am in disagreement with the way that government is handling things.
so
Netanyahu needs to
well, it sounds
step
like we're
step
talking
up and
about.
step
It sounds
aside.
like we're talking about Israel, and I'm sure that the creators of South Park have something to say about this. But I'm sure that Cartman's got something to say about this.
It
Anyways,
always does, man.
anyways, so I want to preference everything that we're going to say with this, and that is that if the state of Israel didn't exist how it exists today, and the geopolitical borders that were drawn up by the French and the British when they cut the cake back at the end of World War One, when they designed all those like that border gore that has created the situation that is in there when it comes to Iraq, Kuwait, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, all that is like it shouldn't be that way. Those aren't the natural borders of that region. If it wasn't Israel, it would be Budapest, Athens, Greece, something like that. Maybe Kosovo. That's where you would be having the Israeli problem today. It would be in Europe's front
Southeastern
doorstep.
section.
Well, it would be in Europe. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
in
wouldn't be as far as the Middle East, but it would still be there.
okay.
Albania region.
So the two on the strategic and tactical point of the Western world having an Israel where it is at, not necessarily the policies that are being implemented, but having that like bastion, if you will, there. I mean, this is the whole Crusader state issue again. We're going back to the
Hmm.
kingdom of Jerusalem.
Yeah, yeah.
Benefits because all of the attention of what would be aggressors is targeted here, and you only get fringe elements targeted in Europe or in the United States or in the Western world. And I hate to use this, but we'll just say the quote unquote Christian world. All right. So you have isolated events, 9/11, the Charlie Hebdo shooting, um, like stuff like that. The south of France Riviera. I think was it Marseille or Nice that they shot up they shot up that church. I'm not sure which, but you end up with this was years ago. This is like 3-4 years ago. You get isolated events, and on a macro level, those are acceptable hot points to have, because not only do they give you a reason to act aggressively if you want to act aggressively. Let's just say that your country's in a bit of a rut and they need some kind of an upturn. Having an active aggression against you really catalyzes your country and allows you to respond for a few years. I'm not saying that's the proper response to make, but I'm saying that that's something that a lot of people have made in the past. The second thing is on that is that isolated events are better than prolonged events. It is not Budapest that is needing the Iron Dome. It is not Budapest that is under scrutiny of these issues. So it's not in Hungary. It's not in Greece. It's not in Serbia or Croatia or Bosnia Herzegovina. It's not in these areas. It's not in Krakow, Poland. Like, I mean, and these are areas that if Israel didn't exist, it might be on the fringe areas of being targeted by religious extremists. And let's be fair, and we'll say the individuals who are launching rockets into Tel Aviv are religious extremists. Now, is the Israeli government responsible for these rockets? Yes, they sent their police force into the Dome of the Rock to disrupt the holiest of Islamic holidays with tear gas, setting the landscape around this temple on fire, which used to be the temple of the Jewish temple. All right.
Yeah,
They used
yeah.
to, they set the dome.
They basically took a several millennia old landmark, lit it up, and then said, "Hey, holy day, screw you," and then decided there wasn't going to be retaliation.
I know Christians here in the state that were ecstatic when they saw that picture of the tree on fire outside the Dome of the Rock, because they thought it was the end of days, and if the temple would be burned down, the Jews would rebuild the Temple of Solomon, and then Revelations would be coming to a close. So I knew Christians that were ecstatic about this because they thought now is the time. It is the end of days. I'm going to be raptured in my lifetime. Like they were happy about this, and I'm not, and that's their prerogative.
Crazy bastards, man.
I mean, it's so faith defies logic. So if you have faith,
yes, it does.
you can't be logical and then have faith. I mean, you can, but you can be logical.
No, you can be selectively logical.
Correct. All right. So therein lies the issue that we're at. So, like you said, that Wonder Woman has
Gal
some,
Gadot.
yeah,
Gal Gadot she made a
she
comment.
got metaphorically crucified for like for one, both condemning and expressing her nationalism, not patriotism, but her nationalism towards the issue. Which
well, she didn't even do that. I mean, she literally said, look, this is the problem both with being a celebrity and with being living in today's modern culture, no matter who you are.
It's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, if you are at all willing to say something on Twitter, you might as well get ready for the bitch slap of doom, because it's coming from cancel culture on every side. No matter, you could literally say, "Happy birthday, Edward. I hope you live another 100 years," and somebody's going to be like, "Why are you so insensitive to the people who can't live another year? Why do you got to be wishing happy birthday?"
My
okay,
grandma died
birthdays
last week. Do you know how that makes me feel? She's
Why am I
dead.
not
She was
validated?
96 and she'll never see 97.
Like literally, that could be the case. Like, oh well, what are you gonna do for your? You could post a picture of
So,
yourself like it's my birthday. I'm going to visit my brother in Poland, and one of our assholes, my friend Ty, at least, is gonna write up there and go, oh, that white privilege. Look at you getting to travel around with your white privilege.
no, the
Like,
white privilege should be this. The white privilege should be this. I'm almost 40. I'm almost 40. I'll be 39 in June. So, like when I went down to Texas, I flew first time in my life without like taking a bump upgrade because I took a bump and
got first class.
I didn't get first class. I got business for the extra 4 inches of space. And so
Yeah.
when I fly out to go visit you in Poland, I'm gonna fly like the like not first class because that's ridiculous. I don't have.
It's only they only have business and economy. There is no first class.
So no, they have a first class.
No, not on a lot. It's only business and economy.
Maybe I'll fly to friggin' Germany and take a train, John. Who knows? Trains are
Do
awesome.
what you want, motherfucker.
Anyways, so like the white privilege would be like, oh, look at this guy going to visit his brother flying business class. That white privilege should be like, I'm 6'4", 278 pounds, cocksucker. You don't want to sit next to me in economy. Trust me, we'll be battling over the armrest for 11 hours. So,
like I have this thing about that. You know how we grew up, man. We when you and I were kids, a Hot Wheels Matchbox car was like a Christmas gift. Okay, that
John,
was our Christmas gift.
John,
the stripe gun, man.
Hold up. We grew up shooting cows in the head and chopping chickens' heads off because we had to kill our food to eat it. It's a completely different appreciation for the world. When you grow up so poor, you have to kill your own damn food to eat it.
Yep. And I keep trying to tell, like, I remember being in, because I was living in Beverly Hills, before I came to Poland.
This cow for a year to shoot it in the face at like 6 years old.
I was
hoisting it up on a truck and gutting it.
I was living in Beverly Hills, so everybody assumed I was just some rich white kid. And I would have these people, like they would have like the University of San Francisco would come down. And I remember running into the African American students from the university. They jumped on me as soon as they saw the shaved head and my tattoos. They jumped on me like I was but they didn't realize that I was standing there alone because my 7'2" black friend who's a pro wrestler was coming out of the restroom. And so they were young. You look at you. What do you think about your white privilege? And I'm like, I think I'm just waiting for my friend to get out of the restroom. And then he comes out and they were like, oh, he's black. Never mind. And I wasn't going to have it. I was like, no, come here. We're going to have a conversation now. You want to talk about judging people? Let's talk about judging people.
Did you tell him that you went to college at the Quinitentiary and that
the Quinitentiary, that Paul Quinn University.
You went to an all-black school that had just integrated for college?
Yep. I actually did, and because I was really mad about it. I had a very quick few things to say to him. One of them was like, I went to my first university. I went to my all-black university before the Marine Corps, and I also told them, I was like, when and you'll remember this, when Steve and I wanted to go to Pismo Beach for the summer, we spent late spring all the way through the summer washing people's windows at the gas station, doing people's yard work in 120-degree heat, just so we could have enough money for 5 days that his parents would drive us over to Pismo and we could, play video games in the arcade that was not privilege, man. That was us working our asses off as teenagers to get 2 weeks of fun.
You were a teenager. I was still a kid because I was like 9 when Dad won his law settlement with the police force.
Yeah.
But I remember. I mean, so I identify a lot with people that are in struggling times. I mean,
yeah, me too. We grew up poor.
Mom work. I mean, we food processed everything. We ate lentils. I still can't stand lentils. We grew our
own lentil soup, man. Lentil
Christ,
soup.
Friggin' lentils.
Every night, lentil soup or freaking artichokes.
So I mean, Mom worked during the day. Dad worked graveyards. Situation.
Hey, I was talking about this one too. Do you remember our lunch? Peanut butter tortilla with raisins in it.
That was Shelly. That was
No,
Shelly.
that was mom.
Was
Mom used
that
to do that to
mom?
me all the time.
I just remember it. I just remember. Yeah. Anyways, let's get back to Israel. We've
Yeah.
deviated. We've
We got
deviated.
off topic.
We're on a soapbox. So
Uh-huh.
she gets crucified for her stance on so it's both sides. So she comes out and she condemns up front the aggression of the
Both sides.
Israeli. I understand. She condemns the aggression of the Israelis, saying that all she wants is for both sides to live in peace. But in the end, people, she is an Israeli. All right, she's not from Los Angeles. She's not a Californian. She doesn't like. I know that like we like to believe that we're state first and then everywhere else. Like my people, I'm from Texas. Like no, you're United States of America. So when she says that she wants her people to live in peace, she probably does. Now Netanyahu doesn't, but Netanyahu's looking to go to jail for corruption and embezzlement and a bunch of other like nefarious acts. And it's so contentious they can't even actually form a government. So what
Yeah.
does he do?
Talking about
He
that, they're
does
on
the
their third
same
election
thing.
without a government.
He does the same thing the Argentinian government did in the 70s in the when they invaded the Falklands. He does the same
Yep.
things that Saddam Hussein did when he attacks the Iranians. It's just a common playbook. We'll start a war that'll galvanize the people behind me. We'll put my population at risk. Therefore, you'll have no choice but to accept strong militant leadership. It's a play as this goes back to Julius Caesar. All right, so this is a play as old as time. Military dictator to save the day. All right. And Netanyahu, this gets him out of prison. It's the same thing Matt Gaetz is going for. If I can't escape prison rationally, I will tell you that we need to rise up in civil war because my freedom is worth your child's death. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not saying that. All she's saying is that I'm really conflicted because I'm outside my country and I can see what we did. But at the same time, I'm an Israeli and I don't want my family and my friends to be in harm's way. She's getting a bad rap. Like,
No, I 100% agree. And the thing is,
objectivism out of her. What do you?
Well,
think?
I mean, and the thing is that this is another problem I have with things is I've had this with a couple, like when I was running AV in LA, I would run into Paris Hilton all the time, and people back then people were bagging on her all the time, and she was a total sweetheart. I absolutely adore that woman. Like I used to hold her purse all the time and talk to her every Sunday, every Monday sometimes.
And then fuckboy, dude. Look at you holding her purse.
Yeah, I know, right? And then we had with Gal, I think it was 2015.
She saved us in World War I, John. Wonder Woman saved us.
But in 2015, I got to meet her for a very brief moment at the Golden Globes, and she was a total sweetheart. And these people, like the people that are going on Twitter and they bash these people for just what is realistically a generalized comment of support for anybody and everybody. They're not trying to make any type of evil statement. That's very clearly not in their personality. It's just that shit's got to stop because all that is doing is creating an opposition of equally hateful rhetoric on the other side and basically empowering one another. It's kind of that philosophy of if you want to get rid of the racism, ignore it kind of thing. Like if you respond to it, you start an argument and that gives it power.
Or if you embrace it, and that's the other issue when you start to use in rap culture did this where rap culture's combat towards racism was to adopt the jargon of racism and turn it into a badge of honor. All right, so now you see, now a person of color can use the N word with carte blanche, but if I use it, I am immediately affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan. Or like some kind of white oppressor,
or the Proud Boys, or whoever's white, somebody white.
Yeah, it's an oppressive organization. So if you wanted to depower that word, you either have to make it part of the readily available vocabulary, which is what Dave Chappelle
or
does.
erase it,
or you just ignore it and never use it again, and
Yeah.
take heavy punitive measures towards it, which is what the Germans did towards anything that was Nazi related.
Hmm.
So like they put levied such heavy punitive measures towards anything that was towards Nazism, that being a Nazi basically would it's like
It
almost
was
like
jail
being
time.
it's like being a
Yeah.
child molester. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, I can
yeah,
remember. I can remember in the '90s when
the
I went and visited Jan's family. They were having those issues, and people were specifically growing their hair out to never have their hair
remember
like shaved or anything
when
because the
I
neo
went to go
Nazis were getting put in jail all the time.
so
They did
in
not put up
90,
with that shit.
in '99 when I did that tour of Europe by myself, and like I had just finished my junior year of high school, and I had my head was shaved because like when you play football, like it's
Yeah.
just easier to have it shaved.
Hmm.
And I remember mom freaking out because she thought everyone was going to think I'm a skinhead because
Yeah.
I had a close cut haircut. And I was like, and mom lived in France for a while. So, like, she gets it. So, it was a concern. But thankfully, it wasn't an issue. So,
Well, I mean, and even here they have the white shirts here. The white shirts are like a fascist group. They shave their head, blue jeans, white shirts. You'll see them walking
so
around
did you
5 or 6
see
at a time.
back in 2016 when Trump was running
Hmm.
the Trump T-shirts they put out on brown shirts? Like literally, the
Oh
guy's
yeah,
signs
I saw that
were
was
on
poor taste.
brown shirts, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my god, how bad
you
is
know it's on
American?"
purpose, man.
Oh, it was absolutely on purpose, but how bad is American education that the people buying the shirts either knew that the brown shirts were Hitler's Nazis, or were so ignorant that they had no idea that they were literally. I mean, I'm going to go with ignorant because there were two country of Georgia flags flying in front of the June 6th Capitol rush. Like not the state of Georgia with the Confederate flag and the cornucopia on it, but like the Crusader Cross of Georgia flying in the air while they were storming the Capitol. And I was just like, these guys went to Amazon and put Georgia flag and bought the first result. We're like, that's a good Christian symbol. Of course my state would have that. Not knowing that they changed their flag from the stars and bars from like the Civil War stuff to a cornucopia and stars and bars in like 2007.
Well, I
So
mean, like, come on. I mean,
I'm gonna
like,
go with ignorant.
yeah, it's very, very, very possible that was ignorance. I mean, I've seen who, who the heck was it the other day? I had a friend of mine. He's here. I can't remember. I think he's from Florida, and I asked him. I was like, most people don't know their history, and we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, most people don't know that World War One we fought the Chinese just as much as we fought everybody. And I was like, bro,
Hold on. I had to seriously consider for a moment. Did we fight any engagements with like Imperial
no,
China?
because the Chinese had just put up with the Boxer rebellions about 20 years
No,
earlier.
I know, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, did we fight any of communist China or the Imperial Chinese in World War One? We definitely didn't. So first off, I want to say America World War One because we swooped in at the end of that and then claimed all the credit. All right.
We're one, bitch.
so,
Our
so
flag.
the French and the British won the war. The Russians were kicked out. The French and the British basically won the war. Then America rolled in with Stockton and a few other people in Belleau Woods, had one good fight, put their flag down, claimed victory, and we're like, you all owe us. We're the cool kid. Sunglasses on. We're out. So,
But, yeah, my favorite. I was talking about that too the other day. Is like the Churchill comment. The he's like, why when they were like, why won't the Americans get involved in World War II? And he was like, look, the Americans do. They always do the right thing. Eventually.
that was Churchill. So,
Yeah, that was World War II.
So, yeah, so Churchill is very interesting in that sense. So, first off, Churchill was upset that America didn't directly intervene, and he was super happy when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. I think his exact quotes were that Um, the Japanese just assured us victory. I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
something. It was somewhere along those lines. But America in World War II, a lot of people don't know this, is that what what kept World War II going was the fact that the British gave the Americans the designs to the first turbo engine, the Magnetron 8, I think it was, which is like the radar magnetism,
Hmm.
and a few other blueprints, the Rolls Royce engine for airplanes, that kind of stuff. And they gave it to us so that we would just make uh, weapons for everybody. And we gave the British a lot of weapons, but we gave the Russians even more. We built a railroad through the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, all the way to Tehran, and then across the Caspian, barged across hundreds of thousands of trucks and tanks and everything else. So when people look at this and they go like, "Oh, America arming the British was a big deal," it was.
Hmm.
America arming the Russians through Archangel Port in the north and across Iran. We literally so there's a lesser known history piece that you're not going to read about in your ninth grade
Standard
history
history book
course.
in college. Yeah,
Yeah, so
they don't talk about it.
you have to go dig it out or take a colonialism course in
You, have to,
college.
well, you look at the history
So
of arms dealing. You
so
can find it
we
in there.
we got on a boat with the Saudi sheep. I'm gonna call him a sheep herder. He brought all of his sheep with him onto this boat. All right, the first Saudi king when we were discussing the Middle East during World
Yeah,
War
yeah.
II, and talked about basically what we were going to do with the Arabian Peninsula, the fact that the French and the British failed to secure what would have been Arabia, which would have been Syria, Iraq, modern day Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman,
Mhm.
all the Dubai, all these Bahrain, all these countries, including Lebanon. That was all supposed to be part of Arabia. We cut a deal with him so that he wouldn't side with the Nazis like the Iraqi um, Saddam Hussein's predecessor did. And then we built a railroad that basically supplied endlessly, because we had naval superiority, fuel, guns, ammunition, trucks, Studebaker trucks, so they could tow their artillery. Because the
Hmm.
Russians were using horses until we sent them
Oh
thousands
yeah,
of
you can see the
Studebaker
videos
trucks.
of it. You can see the videos of they got like
So
four horses pulling
we
this
we
giant
we sent
cannon.
we sent them Studebaker trucks so they could properly flying battery artillery around, so
Yeah.
that they could fight the Germans. So what won the war wasn't American direct intervention, although it was important in the Western Front. What won the war is America outfitting the Russians.
Yeah, the auxiliary support.
Yeah. So that's what won. And the Russian America, brace yourself. The Russians won World War II. They lost
Yeah,
30 million. They lost
no,
30 million
42 in
total.
total.
So low estimates, 30 million people to defeat the Germans. We lost 500,000. All right.
Yeah.
The Russians won World War II, but we won it in the economy at the end because we rebuilt Europe. We cut the checks for Europe and Japan.
Yep.
We enacted the Marshall Plan. So we won it economically. They won it on the ground. So, take it for what it is. History doesn't lie. You can go look that up. That's real easy
No,
to
go look
find.
at the facts. It's I try to tell people that like America and Russia were absolutely allies until the end of World War II, and then and it wasn't. It actually was not. I go through this with people. The sit down at Bretton Woods was the break point because what happened is Russia was in Berlin and they had lost four. I'm gonna still keep that stat around 40 million people fighting the Germans, and they did not want to leave Germany. They wanted that swath of land, and France and England and everybody else said we're wiped out. We have no infrastructure. No, we're fought out. Nobody wants to do this anymore. If Russia pushes any further west, we're screwed. And there's nothing saying that Russia has to stay put. We need help. And America was like, well, what do you want us to do? We're friends and allies with Russia. You want us to sit here and have a standoff? And so Russia said, well, if we're going to have this argument, we're not leaving Berlin. And we said, you have to leave Berlin. And so you had to have the argument, we're going to split
Well,
it in half.
you had the airlift, which proved to Russia that the U.S. was committed, and they backed off. But
Yep.
Patton wasn't wrong. Patton was absolutely correct when he said, "We can solve this right now. Let's just take our fully mobilized military and just push to Moscow." We could have
Yeah.
beat the Russians because they were relying on
Oh, they were
foreign weapons.
overextended.
They were using Sherman tanks for Christ's sakes.
Hmm.
So as soon as we cut the fuel, the ammunition, the guns, everything off, we would have rolled up the USSR and smoked them for and smoked them like a cigar.
Not not doing that was the right decision in the moment for not getting more bloodshed, but it cost the whole
We
world later on.
had Japan to deal with.
Yeah, like
We had to deal with Japan. Um,
it cost us in the long run.
Plus, we could have nuked Moscow. But I mean, we're where we're at today with a regionally strong Russia due to the fact that we didn't crush them in World War II, and in the 90s when the wall fell, we sent over all kinds of money and economists to balance them out so their nuclear weapons didn't vanish into.
Oh yeah, they would have sold them to Iran instantly, man. The Ayatollah was
Well, I
buying that
mean,
shit
it wouldn't
anyway.
even been Iran. It would have been China, Iran, India.
I would have been it would have been Egypt, Iran, and shit.
Egypt would have got some. Syria would have got some. Some rich crime lord would have got like 6. I mean,
Just to have them.
I mean, he probably does. So
Dude, are you kidding me? Of course. There's, I think the stat when I was in, the stat was there's 50 of them a year that go missing and they have no idea where they're at.
Well, if you look at the U.S. ones, we dropped a nuclear bomb on ourselves. It just didn't detonate when that plane had an issue and like the bomb bay doors. So back in like the, I think maybe it was the late 60s, maybe it was early 70s, over like Missouri or Arkansas or something, there was like a bomber that was moving a nuke from one base to another, and like the bomb bay door had a malfunction and didn't arm it, but just dropped a nuke into a farmer's field. So like for like a week, there was like a nuclear bomb just chilling in a farmer's field. I mean, if people knew how like laissez-faire the world was with nuclear weapons, they wouldn't sleep.
Oh, like I'm trying to tell you, I'm telling you, I have a friend of mine he's on a Raven. He's a Raven. The guys who hunt the nukes for the U.S. And he straight up tell you, he's like, dude, at any given time, there's like 50 nukes around the world. No idea where they're at. They just gone. I don't know where the hell they went. Somebody bought them and they disappeared.
Did you see back in like 2011, out of Montana, they were moving like a nuke from like Montana to New Mexico or vice versa, something like that. And it turns out the nuke was in transport, fully armed. It was like flying over U.S. from base to base, fully armed. And they were like, they got there, they were like, oh shit.
Dude, you know what's great? I just want to be in the spot with a camera filming the guy who, when they dropped that bomb in the middle of that farmer's field, who had to be the guy who had to go up to check to disarm it and look at it. You're like, I got your bomb suit on. You're like, why do I even bother having this on right now?
It's like Chernobyl. Like when they told the person like back in Chernobyl or whatever it is, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. Go in there. We gave you this tinfoil suit. You're good. And they go in and he's like, I don't feel so. Just like blood projectile vomiting everywhere. So, but yeah. So I mean, we didn't really talk on much, but we're at over an hour, so I don't know how long you want to keep.
Well, I mean, it was a good talk. We got in a couple of points and we had some conversation.
We'll have to pick this up. We'll have to pick this up in 7 days and do another.
Yeah, we'll do one next weekend and hopefully get a little more structure. We did get to talk a little bit about Israel and Netanyahu, and
to come back and
some history on World War II and World War One.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit. Well, I mean, World War II is why we're where we're at right now when it comes to Ukraine and the Cold War. So World War II and Cold War is why we're where we're at in Ukraine, why we're where we're at in Israel, why we're where we're at in the world as a general. Why the EU is the EU. So like people go like, oh, that's ancient history. No, that's like very pertinent to modern design. And in fact, next week, I would like to talk a little bit about potentially the EU and the modern Holy Roman Empire. So,
yeah, for sure. That'd be great.
All right, man.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe, hit like, and we'll come back in another 7 days with another episode, and we'll maybe shed some light on the EU and its development over the last 120 years. So
120 years. Has it been that long?
Well, since World
War
One forward, so I've 120 years roughly.
World War II is the big one. This is Churchill's baby.
Yeah, but it starts in World War One.
That's why it
starts at the end of to me, it starts at the end of the Austrian Empire. So.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right.